Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Basics with Babish, where this week we are sponsored by Blue Apron, an awesome meal kit delivery service that is an easy and healthy way to get cooking at home. And the first 100 people to use the link in the description of this video to sign up will receive $50 off their first 2 weeks of Blue Apron deliveries. We're going to learn how to use this kit to make shakshuka later, but for now, let's put all our new toys back in the fridge and get down to basics. Alright guys, so let's start with Scotch eggs, which is a great opportunity to exercise and hone our ability to make soft-boiled eggs. Now, I like to steam my eggs, that is, put them in a steam basket, drop them into a little bit of boiling water, and cover, steaming for no more than 6 minutes, maybe even 5 since we're going to be frying these down the line. Straight out of the steam basket, we're plunging these into an ice bath because we want to stop them from cooking immediately. Once they've had the chance to cool off completely, about 15 minutes, we're going to take them back out of the water and crack them all over, putting them back in the water, so they're going to be a little bit easier to peel because the water is going to seep its way in between the shell and the egg. Then we're taking a rare look at my sink to peel the eggs under running water. Then one last time back into the ice bath and refrigerate until ready to cook. While those guys chill out, we're making some herb-loaded ground pork with which we are going to envelop our eggs. I've got about a tablespoon or so each worth of sage, thyme, and rosemary that I'm going to finely mince before adding to maybe 1.5 pounds of ground pork. The most important one here being sage. We want this to have sort of a breakfast sausage vibe. We're also going to hit this with a heavy-handed few pinches of kosher salt and freshly ground pepper. Go ahead and mash that up, make sure that it's well incorporated. You can almost smear the pork against the side of the bowl to create a kind of emulsion. This is going to result in a more uniform sausage patty ensconcing our egg. Next up, we've got a pretty standard breading setup here: eggs, flour, and panko breadcrumbs. We're starting by taking about 1/4 of the sausage mixture and flattening it out into a big ol' sausage patty, into which we can deposit our egg and sort of slowly stretch and wrap it around the circumference of the egg. Once you've got the whole thing safely wrapped and patched where necessary, you can sort of squeeze and roll the entire affair back and forth between your hands to make sure that the sausage is evenly distributed around the egg. And then it's time to get breading. We're going to start by coating the sausage with a layer of flour, just like you might do with fried chicken, and then we're moving into a few beaten eggs. Then once we've got our egg wrapped in sausage, thoroughly coated in more egg, it's time to hit it with them panko breadcrumbs. Once everybody has been evenly coated, it's time to heat our frying oil to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. And then as it comes time to fry our dragon eggs, it's time for me to put on my Jorah impression from Game of Thrones. They're dragon eggs, Khaleesi. They were never meant to be fried. That is, unless you were to fry them for 7 to 10 minutes until they registered 80 degrees centigrade or 175 degrees Fahrenheit. That is only in the sausage layer. We want the center of the egg layer to remain soft and yolky. So we're letting these guys drip dry for a few minutes before making sure that they meet FDA regulations, and then building a whole grain mustard aioli. That is a fake aioli, a fake aioli, equal parts mayonnaise and grain mustard. Simple as that, a very easy and accommodating sauce for our Scotch eggs. Simply spread a pool of this sauce on the bottom of the plate, or you could serve it on the side if you're doing this picnic style. Either way, we're all here for the same reason: to split this guy open and see what's inside. A little bit of suspense built up while the camera tracks from left to right, and I slowly saw my knife through the center of our prize. Cracking open to reveal what? A chalky, overcooked yolk? No, a runny, delicious yolk, pouring with reckless abandon over our mustard aioli like it's not even a big deal. But oh my god, it is a big deal. Not unlike our next dish, an unapologetic, brunch-going crowd pleaser, Eggs Benedict, a dish consisting of 2 different preparations of eggs, both of which are traditionally thought as very difficult, but with a few simple twists of technique, we can make it very easily for all your hungover friends. Let's start by cracking 3 whole egg yolks into the jar of a blender, adding a little sprinkle of paprika, adding a playful little dollop of mustard, a generous and emotionally available squeeze of lemon juice, or the juice of 1 whole lemon, and blitz together. Once these guys are thoroughly blended after 30 or so seconds, we're going to remove the pour stuff into me hole in the top of the blender, grab a stick worth of simmering unsalted butter, and slowly start to pour it through the top. You want to pour slowly enough that the residual heat from the butter does not scramble the eggs, but creates a smooth and thick hollandaise sauce, the cascading stream of which is irresistible not to plunge one's finger into and shove into one's, let's call it, taste-testing mouth. And now comes the age-old task of poaching eggs. Today's method comes courtesy of J. Kenji Lopez Alt, who advises cracking eggs into a fine mesh sieve and swirling them around as such. Not only so you've got the perfect vessel to transfer the egg into some barely simmering water, but also so the sieve can help remove some of the thinner, wispier yolk, aka the very bane of home egg poachers everywhere. After about 3 minutes in 190° Fahrenheit water, these guys are ready to come out. Drop them gingerly atop some freshly fried Canadian bacon or ham, a toasted English muffin, and top with, you guessed it, egg yolk butter sauce, and then top that with a dollop of pure cholesterol. I'm kidding, of course. This is one of America's brunch staples, along with fried chicken and waffles and burgers with unlimited mimosas. These guys admittedly look a little plain unless you garnish them with paprika, so make sure you go ahead and do that. And prepare to amaze all of your hungover friends when you prepare this seemingly out of nowhere because you poached the eggs the night before. That's right, you can poach these eggs as described and put them in ice water, let them sit in the fridge for up to 3 days. Simply reheat them in a bowl of hot water, whip up some blender hollandaise, and toast up some English muffins, and suddenly you're an unfathomable genius. Alright guys, so let's take a look at yet another easy egg preparation brought to you by Blue Apron. With one of their super easy and intuitive recipe kits, we're going to try something that I've always had a great deal of trouble with, shakshuka. So the procedure for making shakshuka follows a pretty basic formula. Make a tomato-based sauce with vegetables and or meat. In this case, we've got red onions, carrots, potatoes, and sweet peppers. And then once those have cooked, we're going to make a couple wells, crack a couple eggs into them, and drop the whole affair into a 400° Fahrenheit oven for about 5 minutes or until the whites are set and the yolks are running. We're going to top it with a little bit of feta cheese and make sure that the eggs are cooked properly. They are. And then we've got some pita bread that we've toasted with za'atar, all coming together for a really nice, well-rounded meal that took about 30 minutes to make. Blue Apron is a great way to start cooking at home more often and pick up some new cooking skills. They have both 2-person and family meal plans. They use farm-fresh ingredients, and each meal is between 500 to 800 calories per serving. And like I mentioned earlier, the first 100 people to sign up using the link in the description will get $50 off their first 2 weeks. I hope you guys give it a try yourselves, but for me, it's time to eat some steak.